Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for clicking in to another episode of Botulism Bakery. Now, we've all heard the old saying, waste not want, right? And to me, what that saying means is that when we waste something, it's okay because apparently we didn't want it too bad, right? Or we wouldn't have wasted it. Well, today, I'm going to show you how to make your waste someone else's. Okay? Now, before we start, I cannot stress enough, as usual, it's really important to prepare this dish prior to your guest's arrival. If we're going to make the trash man's load a little lighter next week, we're going to need these people to eat, right? And it's like restaurants always say, they say, oh, if people could see our ingredients before we prepared them, no one would eat here, right? And just the smallest thing, if a guest sees like a spot of mold or something on a piece of bread or cheese or maybe some fly larvae in some ketchup, anything could turn the dinner sour, and cause them not to eat or to cause them to even leave early. Now, it's kind of off topic, but it's funny, the fly larvae were so disgusted by them here when in other parts of the world they're actually considered a delicacy. The French call them maggots, right? And they do that a lot. They'll give something a fancy name to make it a little more palatable. They do the same thing with the word calamari, right? Instead of just saying spider, okay? But anyway, without further ado, let's get up to something good. I'm going to show you today's dish is going to be soft potato pizza. Now, I was digging through the refrigerator earlier, and I found some Tupperware with some tin foil on it. I was kind of scared to open it, but when I did, I found these tomatoes left over from some wonderful tacos that we had at Easter. Now, it looks like, I guess, the apple? Yeah, I guess that's apple. Yeah, those are apple that's in there with them. And, that's okay. That's just fine because, apples are kind of bland. They're kind of flavorless. Nobody's going to really notice them. Plus, no one's offended by apples. And when apples cook, they're soft anyway. So no one's going to notice it. And it's not going to hurt anything. And it's like we say when preparing any dish, what doesn't hurt you makes it go further, right? And so that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start by cutting that up. Now, in this case, it was already cut up, which is wonderful. Now, for our crust, we're going to actually use bread. It's important to use an aged bread here. Without the aged bread, you just can't get the kind of that tart, pungent flavor that the aging of the bread produces. Now, in this case, I'm not going to actually cut this bread open and start and prepare it right now because I'm afraid that when I cut this package loose, it's going to release a lot of spores, a lot of stuff that I don't want to breathe, right? I don't have a mask handy right now, so when I do have a mask, I'll be cutting this open to prepare my crust. If you are worried about that, if you don't have a mask, you can actually just cut the wrapper back and spray it with a real light mist of bleach, and it'll kill a lot of that off, and it won't be near as bad on you, and it won't disturb the flavor too much at all. But if you do spray it with a mist of bleach, you're going to just set it back and let it dry before you actually go to rolling it out with the rolling pin. Now, if you don't have a rolling pin, that's okay. You can use anything, can of spray paint, an old metal pipe, an old pair of shoes, anything to flatten it out and to compress it into one piece, okay? While you're waiting on the bread to dry, you can start derooting your potatoes and cutting them into slices. We've got our potatoes for the dish we're using. I'll be using a 13 by 9 cake pan for mine, so I'll use about 3 or 4 potatoes. Now I've got some here that I've actually already derooted and sliced. So if hang on, let me get that out of there. We don't want to feed anybody that. Anyway, yeah, but this is how you're going to slice them. And just be thinking pepperoni when you're slicing these potatoes. They'll slice easy. You want your potatoes to be soft. You don't want them to be hard and crispy. I know they're going to soften some during cooking, but that's all part of the plan, okay? When our bread crust is dry, we're going to put it in the oven between 300 and 500 degrees. Keep checking on it. You want it to cook. You don't want it to get burnt. You just want it to get brown and crispy, okay? While that's going on, you're going to take your tomatoes and you're going to put them in a saucepan, and you're going to cook those down until they liquefy. If you want, you can actually add some salt and pepper into them, and anything you can to, kind of maybe give it a little more flavor. And if you come up with anything to increase the volume, to make it go a little further, as long as it's not something that people are going to notice, that's fine as well. When your crust is ready to come out of the oven, just set it back, take your tomato mixture and pour it in, like you would the tomato sauce. And now you're going to arrange the potato pieces just like you would pepperoni. And then right back in the oven it goes. And we're just going to leave that in there until the tomatoes are brown, maybe with a little crunch to them, a little crust. And that's it. Now, keep an eye on it. When it does come out, you're going to want to let this rest for probably 10, 15 minutes before you actually try to feed it to your guests. It will be hot. A little garnish goes a long way on this, depending on what you have. I personally was looking around, and I found something perfect that I like to use a lot. I like to garnish mine maybe with an old banana peel covered in black mold. A lot of people will look at that and think that it's just beef jerky, and maybe if not, it'll just cause everyone to leave. If they do, just scrape this off and throw it in the trash can. You don't want to make your dog sick or anything, and you damn sure don't want it to be in your kitchen any longer than it can, because if this shit crawls off the plate, I'm moving. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed, and please do not try soft potato pizza.